right, all right. Thank you, Jones, for the heart me. Appreciate it. Hello, Hughes. Thank you for joining. All right. So, let's see. Let me see if I have my facts straight. Okay. So today is Monday, June 15th, 2026. Yeah, I think that's all correct. Okay. So we're off to a good start. I have been away for 2 weeks, almost, yeah, pretty much 2 weeks. Yeah, it was Tuesday 2 weeks ago that I last broadcast. It's funny. I went a week of doing all 6 days, which I hadn't done in a while, and then my voice was shot at the end of that. So I just decided to rest my voice, and believe it or not, it's still not 100%, but it's getting there. So I figured this is probably as good as it's gonna get. So I'll just sally forth, so to speak. So anyway, that said, um, what a couple of weeks it's been. Um, World Cup started, so that's kind of good. I generally don't watch the games live. I hope not to hear anything about it, and then I watch the free replay on another platform. And you know, um, I enjoy it that way. I'll probably watch the final live. There's lots of ways to do that. Some of them involve VPNs. Let's see. Vincent says PE space O period. I don't know. I don't know what that means. Vincent says, then he says, keep dreaming. What do you want about, Vincent? What are you so excited about? Are you responding to what I'm saying? Are you responding to the prompt? My guess is that you're a typical childlike MAGA hat who gets so upset whenever someone says something bad about your daddy Donnie. And so your response is, keep dreaming. Oh, they're so adorable, these MAGA hats. There's no way I'll decipher the first thing you wrote. PE space O period. Like, the fuck does that mean? Anyway, I'm pretty sure that Danny will not be here this evening, but we'll carry on. Um, we'll see if we can get into a conversation. There is, I don't even know really where to start with all of it, but what I'll do in the meantime, while people are coming on, is I'll play a song. This is one of my favorite bands. One of the things I love about this band is that a lot of white tea people love this band, and a lot of white tea racists love this band, and I know that for a fact. That it's because a couple of their songs the racists don't understand. Well, what's funny is the lead singer of this band is Mexican, and people don't, the white tees that are racist don't know that, and they love the band anyway. But the band is Rage Against the Machine, and this is a live performance from 1993. I can't say the first word of it, so I'll have to spell it. Killing, in the name. Here we go.
They use force to make you do what the deciders have decided you must do. They use force to make you do what the deciders have decided you must do. They use force to make you do what the deciders have decided you must do.
party.
Killing in the name of. Crosses. Some of those that work forces on the sick and burn crosses. Some of those that work forces on the sick and burn crosses. Some of those that work forces on the sick and burn crosses. Yeah. Killing in the name of. Killing in the name of. Do what they told you. Do what they told you. Do what they told you. Now you 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 do what they told you. And now you do what they told you. And now you do what they told you. And now you do what they told you. Those who died are justified. But we're in the bed, take your chosen one. You're justified. Those who died are wearing a bed, take your chosen white. Those who died are justified. But we're in the bed, take your chosen white. Justified. Those who died are wearing a bed, take your chosen white. Forces on the same and burn crosses. Some of those that work forces on the same and burn crosses. Some of those that work forces on the same and burn crosses. Some of those that work forces on the same and burn crosses. Killing in the name of. What you tell me? Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Motherfucker! Yeah!
Oh, that song used to get me hyped. That song definitely used to get me hyped. All right. Once again, that was Rage Against the Machine with the brilliant Zach De La Roca as the frontman and the unbelievably talented guitarist Tom Morello. He's like from 100 years in the future. as far as I'm concerned. His guitar playing is spectacular. I mean, there's not enough superlatives that I could come up with to describe it. He's one of the most talented guitarists I've ever seen anywhere. Um, Mike says, Dump loves the USA more than any president ever has. Yeah, okay. So, Mike, what's your evidence for that? Because you would think that a president that loves the USA would be doing things to benefit the USA and benefit the citizens of America. But is that what Dump is doing? And if it is, please give me examples for that. You won't be able to. I know you won't be able to. You'll just be able to say stupid things like, he closed the border, which he didn't do. He built the wall, which he didn't do. You know, you'll be able to make up shit, but you won't actually be able to state any facts, because that's how you judge a president, right? And their administration. You judge them by the outcomes, what they actually do, not what they say they're going to do, not what they tell you they're going to do or tell you that they've done that isn't even real, but what they've actually done, what's actually in the record books in reality. And you MAGA hats can never give examples of it, no matter how much I ask. Uh, Coach, saying Josh Hokett, American Patriot, doesn't say anything. I mean, what do you want about? Marty says Mike struggles to spell his own name. That's funny. Obis, what's up? Good to see you. So, anybody that wants to come up, feel free to request up and tell me how great Donnie is, or we could talk about reality. There's Jones requesting up. Excellent. Always happy to speak to our buddy Jones. What's up, Jones? How's it going?
Still going over my Nick hangover.
Yeah, I didn't see the game. I did watch a recap of the final game, and it's just, I think it's a real testament to who they are as a team that they could be down most of the game, but just keep playing hard, keep just steadily chipping away at these people, and then just their will was stronger than the other team's will.
And they didn't make excuses. Like
Abby
San
says,
Antonio, every time it was an excuse.
boring. He cleaned up Washington. No, he didn't. Washington was fine before he got there. And in fact, it was at a 30-year low in crime. So that's just a dumb thing. User 6742 says, Dump is the best president. Okay, give me evidence of that. Go ahead. Feel free to give me evidence of that. Bridge, thank you for the heart, me. Appreciate it. I'd love to know, Abby and the rest of the clowns that are on here, like, why can't you just give evidence of what you're saying? Why do you just say things that have no substance to it? And even though I ask over and over again, you never have an example for it. He cleaned up Washington that's a soundbite. You didn't say what he actually did or how he did it. State the fact. State the actual fact. Coach says Barry and his husband. Coach, you're speaking in riddles, dude. I have no idea what you're talking about. Steve from NH says, why should we give you evidence? Talking to you is like talking to a child. Oh, Steve. Oh, oh my God. I've met with the disapproval of Steve. What am I going to do with my life now that Steve doesn't like what I'm saying? Fucking twins. I love these people. They're so funny. So Jones, did you wind up watching like every game or some of the games?
Well, I work nights, so I
I
catch
I
the
I
highlights
don't
after I
keep
get
that
off work.
information in my head, so sorry, but
Oh, no, 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 but no, I work nights, so overnight. So yeah, I watch it. I watch it like the first quarter, and then I have to go to work.
got it. Okay. So in other words, no. Okay. So
No, no, not the full.
so um yeah, so yeah, I used to play basketball. I found that uh I don't really like watching sports. I prefer to play them, and since I haven't played sports in a while, watching them doesn't do anything for me. I do enjoy watching the World Cup only because soccer was my favorite sport, well, along with martial arts. But soccer was my favorite team sport, and so I'll watch. And again, I don't normally watch the shows live only because all these companies want you to buy their package in order to watch shit. But there's ways around it. You can get VPNs and set up free trials, and then you can watch stuff for free.
Yeah, growing up in the '70s, my guys were Pele and Beckenbauer.
Yeah, Franz Beckenbauer was a beast in his day, and Pele, of course, um, easily one of the greatest to ever do it.
And they
Always
were
says,
classy guys. They were just classy people.
yeah. Well, they came from that era where when you were off the field, that your time counted as much as it did on the field. So they dressed impeccably and they carried themselves impeccably, and Pele was just like, I actually met Pele, not in any like meaningful, long drawn out way. I went to his soccer camp and I made sure that I stood next to him in the team picture that he took with every team. And I also ran into him at the breakfast line one day at the juice machine. We both went up to get juice at the same time, and I said I was 17 years old, and it was literally the only time I ever got starstruck, and I didn't know what to say. I just said, "Pele, you're the king," and he clicked glasses with me and then walked away. And he was involved with drills and stuff like that, and I did get to hug him, and I could say that like he was in his late 30s, early 40s, maybe when I saw him, because this would have been like 81, and he was like a tree trunk, you know. He did a couple of drills with us, and like when you went up against him, like he was just completely immovable. He was so fucking strong and so centered in his gravity. But yeah, those were the days. Coach is laughing at martial arts. Coach, I do you need a wellness check? Hello, HM. Good to see you. Coach, you seem kind of confused and things are throwing you off. Like you're speaking in riddles. You're laughing. You put up 4 laughing crying emojis after the words martial arts. I have no idea what's funny about that. But you know, I'm glad you're having a good time. So in the last 2 weeks that I've been away, Jones, I've been hearing all sorts of stuff. Tonight I heard that Dump has removed over 100, I believe it was 112 different environmental protections. And of course, that included opening up, land to fracking and things like that. In your mind, what do you think about that?
Well, it's greed for greed's sake. It's how can I make me and my buddies as much money as I can before this thing collapses.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. FL Bear, uh, I, all right. Thank you for updating the score, but you know, I'd rather you didn't. Oh, here's one. Let's see. Boricua Rob. Now, Boricua is a nickname for Puerto Riqueño, right? So that means this self-hating minority is uh, hold on, Paul. Uh, uh, you're really like an idiot, and not only that, you're typing in all caps, so you got to go. But Boricua is a self-hating minority who is cheering for his own oppression by being a supporter of Dump. But I'm sure he couldn't tell you how he was winning. They never can. They just make these statements and they can never ever back them up. But I hate minorities that have voted for voted for Dump. I absolutely hate them.
Well, I
Yeah,
have
that
them in my family too. My sister's married to a Puerto Rican. Like it's a split. Like the family's split half half. One side red cap, the other not pleased with what he's doing.
so so your sister is married to a guy that supports Dump.
Oh no, not him. But his family, oh, a good share of them are very pro him. And I'm like, he called the island a garbage dump.
Yeah.
And after the hurricane, he basically was like throwing things at people. I mean, not like violently, but he was like chucking paper towels and all. I'm like,
No, no.
you know,
Though his behavior in Puerto Rico during that storm was disgusting. But he didn't even know that he was the president of Puerto Rico. So,
yeah.
you know, Richard Jerk says host Prolly, Prolly, expects reparations, and you put the word reparations in quote, which suggests that I don't expect reparations because you don't know how the English language works. But where in the world did you get that from? I've literally never spoken about reparations in the time that I've been doing live shows. But, because you're racist, you see a brown face and you just assume that I want reparations. So, again, you got to go. Coach said brothers voted for Dump. No, they didn't. No, other people voted for Dump, but they weren't brothers. So, Coach, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just trying to be down by using the word brothers, but you're just an old white tea dude that doesn't know shit. So, what do you think of that? A white tea guy says brothers voted for Dump. What do you think of that, Jones?
It's it kind of is embarrassing to be white at times. you know, I mean, my friend said to me, "What do you consider?" I said, "A human being," but I know I'm white. I just don't identify with most of the ignorant idiots I have to deal with, all the crap they talk without even thinking.
Yeah, yeah. I actually did a post about this the other day. Um, so I've been silent for a while, and on Sunday or Saturday or Sunday, my voice started feeling a little better. So I made a post about this comment that I've heard most of my life, and I just heard it recently, where someone said, racism would just go away if we stopped talking about it. And I was like, what? Like, how do you, as an adult, have such limited logic? Like, I don't blame anybody for a thought that comes into their mind, right? Because stupid thoughts come into my mind all the time, but I have enough intelligence. Again, I'm not saying I'm brilliant, but I have enough intelligence to recognize a stupid thought that has come into my mouth. And so I don't say it. Hey, Jessica, good to see you. I don't say the stupid thought. I keep it to myself.
And when I
So
do say the stupid thought, I apologize.
well, there
I'm
you
like
go.
real quick to be
There
like,
you go.
what? That was the dumbest thing I've said in the past few minutes. So excuse me.
So Coach is just stream of consciousness at this point. He's just saying a bunch of stuff. Randy, why are you typing in all caps? And what does Morgan Freeman have to do with anything? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, you wouldn't make a pimple on his ass. Like, what are you on about,
And he made
Randall?
his ass into one word. I guess it's
Yeah,
a new English
Morgan
word. His
Freeman
ass.
said if you'll quit talking about racism, it'll go away. I don't care. Morgan Freeman said something stupid. I don't give a fuck who says it. If you say it, you're saying a stupid thing. Here, let's test out that logic for a second. If we stop talking about cancer, cancer will go away. Does that make any fucking sense? If we stop talking about crime, crime will go away. If we stop talking about the economy will fix itself. Do you hear how stupid that is? Do you hear how ridiculous that is? And you're going to tell me Morgan Freeman said it? I don't give a fuck. I heard Morgan Freeman said it. What he said was dumb. I like Morgan Freeman as an actor, but I've heard him say some dumb things. He's a guy that's happy to be in the big house, but doesn't want to pay attention to what's going on in the field. Okay? So as a man, I have no respect for Morgan Freeman. Again, I like him as an actor. He was wonderful in Driving Miss Daisy. Okay? He was great in Shawshank Redemption. That doesn't mean that when he talks, what he says is true or right or smart. Okay? I don't do celebrity worship. I don't worship people because of their station in life. I don't give a fuck about any of that kind of stuff. The fact that you're quoting Morgan Freeman to me as if that would sway me in some way is absolutely childish. Morgan Freeman said it. Gives a fuck. Thank you, Jessica. That's exactly right. He's literally just a person. Just a guy. Just a dude with ideas, right? But when I listen to Morgan Freeman talk, I find a lot of what he says very objectionable, especially when he talks about the reality of race in America. He's a successful man that doesn't realize what's going on with everybody else. He's out of touch. And to say that all we got to do is stop talking about racism, it's just an illogical thing. It's a dumb thing to say. Nothing on earth works like that. Oh, if you just stop talking about XYZ, it'll go away. What kind of dumb shit is that? Jessica, if you feel like coming up, of course, you know, you're always welcome.
But it reminds me of the abused wife syndrome. If I keep quiet and I just keep my place, everything will get better, and it never does.
Coach says, what can I do that you can't do today in America? Live peacefully and unbothered, Coach. See, your YT privilege is so strong that it led you to type out that question. The fact that you don't know what your country is about is shameful and pathetic. You know, you're one of these propaganda parrots that just repeats the lies that you've been told your whole life. How amazing, uh, America is. How it's the best country in the world. You've been fed that shit your whole life. So you just, oh, now he's saying black racism. Okay. Oh, please, Coach. I'll tell you what, Coach. I'm going to invite you up because you can't type for shit. You just type out nonsense. So I'm going to invite you up so you can explain black racism to me. I can't wait to hear this. Come on up, Coach. Come on up. Let's see if you can really explain yourself. Look, and then after that, he asks, how is your investment portfolio growing? I have a feeling that Coach might be a bot or just as unintelligent as a bot. Oh, my mouth is getting dry already. I'm telling you, I'm not. That's the only problem with taking off time from talking is that when you start up talking again, it's hard to do. Come on, Coach, you've got 10 seconds to accept my my invitation before you are gone. I mean, black racism. So, well, I'm going to address that, and I know Coach is not coming up, so I'm going to get rid of him because he's just a ridiculous person. Um, so uh, I've heard black people say that black people can't be racist. That is not true. Um, so I'm going to use the dictionary. I won't read it word for word right now, but the dictionary basically describes racism in a couple of ways, and it has to do with either it talks about individuals or, groups or institutions that feel a negative way about a group of people. And then it also talks about, um, sort of an addition to what can happen when institutions, uh, you know, uh, uh, engage in racism against a group of people. So that's an interesting bifurcation, right? So we're talking about how individuals feel versus how groups feel and how institutions behave, right? So that means that yes, anyone can be racist. If I say XYZ race, if I name a race of people and I just decide that those people are inferior or those people are no good or whatever it is that I'm going to say negatively about that, that means I'm racist. Now, I have no power to institute racism against these people. I cannot implement racism against these people. But that doesn't mean I can't be racist. So that's something that I hear minorities saying. It's just not true. It's just not accurate. You can be racist as an individual, no matter what group you belong to, because it just means you don't like at least one group of people. And it could be I don't like green-eyed people. I don't like people under 5 feet, or whatever it is. You can be a racist, no matter who you are. But the differentiator is whether you have the power to implement racism. Does that make sense, Jones?
Yeah. I mean, years ago, I don't know if I told you, when I was a kid, they burnt a cross in front of my house. And I, I, I was a 5-year-old kid. My mother smacked me in the head, going, "Don't go near the window." And I looked and I said, "Isn't that your symbol? Isn't that your religious thing? Why are they burning it?" It wasn't even
So let me
anger
let
or
me
fear. I
let me
was like,
understand something. Why were they burning a cross on your lawn?
because my father's Jewish.
Okay, gotcha.
And I wasn't even angry. I was more like, because my mother's Christian, I was like, why are they doing this? I didn't understand it in the sense of, if they're Christian, why are they doing that?
Sure. Yeah, I think a 5-year-old would have a hard time understanding that under any circumstances.
And to me, like, all my friends, I said, I've never been racist because black people didn't burn that cross. Women didn't burn a cross. Trannies didn't burn that cross. It
Easy.
was white people
Be
who did
careful.
that.
Be careful of your of the words you're using,
Okay.
because that's a slur. But go ahead.
But I mean, I don't mean it in a slur way, but
But it's a slur.
okay, I'm sorry. Well, I didn't mean it that way. But it was those people who burnt it. So to me, it was like, you chose your side, I chose mine. And it wasn't, I chose not to hate other people.
Yeah, I've heard that thing. Like I when I was a teenager, I would ask somebody like, why do you hate uh, BLK people, and it would be, well, one time this group of BLK kids jumped me and beat me up. And I'm like, one time, one group? Because that's just an excuse, right? That's just an excuse because, again, if you think about America, right? Where was the call for a wall or deportation when Timothy McVeigh did what he did? Okay, when he parked a van full of explosives under a daycare center. He cased the joint. He knew what he was doing. It wasn't accidental. He purposefully planted that van there and wound up ending the lives of 168 people and traumatizing thousands of people. Where was the call to build a wall there? Where was the call to round up all blonde-haired, blue-eyed Christian men? There wasn't any. Hello, Jessica. How you doing? Jessica, you there?
Sorry, it took me a second to come off mute. I'm okay. I'm exhausted. It's tournament week for my son's baseball team, so
Wow.
it's been busy.
Constantly busy, yeah. Yeah. Uh, okay. Walter says, live in Maine? So you live in Maine and no way I'm going to vote for Graham Plattner. Why do you think I need to know that, Walter?
Congratulations. Do you want a fucking medal, Walter? Thank you for telling us you have no common sense in choosing who would be the better candidate.
Yeah.
But also, we just don't give a shit. We don't live in Maine. That's your choice. But good job being
Yeah.
dumb.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for letting us know how unsophisticated you are as a human being, but all right. So, yeah. Jessica, what do you think of the idea? Because I disagree with the idea that minorities cannot be racist. I don't see the logic of that because racism is just a feeling that you have, right, or a thought process that you have about another group of people, which anyone can have.
Right.
So I don't understand. I'm sure you've heard this. So like, what do you
Yeah.
make of that?
So obviously I'm not a member of the BLK community, so um, my viewpoint on it doesn't necessarily mean anything. Uh, quite simply just because I'm not the person who is truly affected by the majority of the racism. Um, I've heard the way that it has been explained to me, and I do understand this thought process as well, is that in order to that basically you can be prejudiced without it be considered racism. That in order for it to qualify as racism, you have to be in a position of power or have some sort of advantage over the group in which you are being racist towards. And so the argument that has been explained to me is that BLK people cannot be racist because they are not in the position of authority or power of advantage over YT people.
Yeah,
Is how it has been explained to me.
yeah,
And I'm not the
and
authority on the matter.
right, and nor would I assume anybody is, but um, whenever I want to look up something, I generally look for the Oxford Cambridge dictionary, because
Yeah.
that to me is like the real dictionary. But just
Yeah. It,
but so
but
here's
and
here's
I
here's a
completely
definition because and this is just as a starting point, right? Racism is the belief, action, or systemic practice asserting that one race or ethnicity is inherently superior or inferior to another. It manifests through prejudice, discrimination, and antagonism, and deeply impacts both impersonal relationships and interpersonal relationships and societal structures. Um, so Um, and this is one of these. This is a Wikipedia thing, but um, for some reason the Oxford one is not coming up right now. But when I read that, and this alludes to it because I don't think there's a difference between prejudice and racist. I mean, there's probably a hair's difference. Um, but one is used as a synonym for the other, so I don't really think they're different. But so anyone can have a belief that another race is inferior, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't take an authority to implement racism.
Right.
You can believe that, you can feel that, you can think that without any power to do anything about it. So even though I get the difference between personal racism and systemic racism, there's still like that means that the individual can be racist no matter who they are, to me anyway.
Yeah, I think it kind of comes down to whether a person is using a connotative definition or an annotated definition.
Mm-hmm.
So, whereas you are very by the book, you are very as it is written, that is what it means, which is understandable. I'm like that with most things as well. But I think that, especially with how the temperature of things are in our society, I think a lot of people lean more towards the connotative definition of racism, which is what brings in that you have to have some sort of authority or power. There has to be some sort of power there in order for it to truly be considered racism. And I understand that. And I'm not going to take away from that viewpoint because that feeling is also valid, even if it's not, definitively correct,
Well, I also think it's inaccurate in practice because,
Yeah.
again, and I totally agree with you. Prescriptive, descriptive, connotative, denotative. I get all that, and I see that perspective. But even in practice, um, like I can be a racist against, like for instance, the one of the more famous people described as a racist on television was Archie Bunker from All in the Family. I don't think anybody would listen to him talk and say that he was not a racist. He was clearly a racist, right? But Charlie Bunker he didn't have the power to impose racism systemically on anybody. He was just one guy with racist feelings,
Yeah.
So I just tend to think that that's an incomplete idea that just because I cannot implement racism systemically, then therefore I cannot be racist. I don't really see that.
Yeah, that's understandable. Like I was saying though, I am not a group that is going to be harmed by it though. So while I may have an opinion and I can state that, like I'm not the end all be all on it, and I think that other voices need to be heard before mine on the matter, just simply because I'm not the authority on it. I'm not someone who's largely affected by it. So that's one where I'd kind of take a step back and let the other voices be heard over mine on the matter.
Well, this is just a goofy live show. This,
Yeah.
there's nothing at stake here. um, but I certainly do appreciate your humility on that. And I am part of the group that's affected by it, and I still feel the way that I feel. I think it's an emotional, um, what do I want to call it? It's sort of an emotional justification. It's like, it's a way to let yourself off the hook, because I know several minorities who are racists. When they encounter, a particular race, sometimes it's white people, sometimes it's Asians, sometimes it's Italians, whatever it is, they have racist thoughts. Like me, I would rather, I know that I understand how racism works in America, but because I don't want to be racist or prejudiced, I treat everybody individually. Like I I don't want to look at a group of people and decide I know who they are as individuals. That's absurd. You know, like we think of America
The
as
only time I do
divide.
that,
Say that again.
I said the only time I do that is with MAGA. Then I feel like it's fair game.
Yeah, and I mean, all we've discovered about MAGA is they have different degrees of dumb. That's basically it. But um, we think of America as being divided between red and blue states, but when you really drill down into the details of, let's say, a red state, what you'll see is that, oh, there's lots of blue dots, like, let's say, counties, lots of blue dots within the county, or with, it's not solid red, is my point, right? Same thing with blue states. They're not solid blue. There's red dots within blue states as well. So it's like, so we use the terminology red state to give an indication of how they vote, but we also understand that not every person in that state is voting that way,
Yeah,
right?
it's a
So that's
generalization.
exactly. So, like, I can say, generally speaking, that the YT race has been kind of a plague on the world for a long time, but I also know plenty of YT people, including people in my own family, that are just fine, wonderful people, because I take them as individuals, and I also have met some people of my own race. Whether you want to, I mean, people would call me Dominican because that's, my heritage, but, you know, in America, I'm just a black dude, right? And I've met people who are black or Hispanic that are absolutely awful people, so I just think that I, I, I don't want to let myself off the hook by saying, "Oh, I can't possibly be racist because da 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 da." There's just, I don't think there's any logic to it.
I was raised more. It's more about green money. Like one of my
Sometimes, I
elder
mean, most of the time,
relatives,
yeah. In America,
one of
America's a
my
very
older
great,
relatives
different
even
country.
said, even if you're poor, your thing is out of want and desire for more. And those who have that wealth generally don't want to give it up.
Yeah, I mean, again, even the wealth class. I normally, when I talk about the wealth class, I'm speaking in generalities. I know that there are wealthy people who are just fine. They're just wonderful people. They pay all their taxes. They don't object when, like, there was I think it was what was it, patriotmillionaires.org, something like that, in New York City, that was saying, we don't care if Mamdani comes and raises our taxes. It won't mean anything to us. It's fine. Well, we're going to vote for him, and if he raises our taxes, that's fine. So that means these people are not the typical greedy millionaires that we think of when we think of millionaires and billionaires, right? So I know that exists. So, um, I just think that the only way to interact successfully with human beings is case by case. That's just my thought process. And before I continue, everybody, I've got 20 something finger snaps or something up there as a goal. They're 5 TikTok coins each. So anybody that wants to gobble those up, please feel free. But yeah, like, I just don't see the I don't see the benefit of shutting down possibility. If I were to take into my heart the idea that all YT people are evil, I would have missed out on a lot of amazing things in my life. And I think that's what happens to racist people. I mean, I don't feel sorry for them because they're choosing this, but I do acknowledge the fact that they're not living life to the fullest because they're walking around angry and hateful all the time, and that's got to suck in a way. Like it's like no matter what else is going on in your life, it's got to suck that you just have this hatred in your heart all the time. Maybe I'm being too philosophical. I don't know.
But hate and all that burns yourself out. I mean, I learned a long time ago, let a lot of the stupid go, and life is so much easier.
That's fair. It's so weird how many people come by a live show and decide that they have to criticize it instead of just fucking off. Like I stop by live shows, I'll stay for a few minutes. I won't like what they're talking about, and I'll just leave, and I'll leave coins. Like my minimum is like 30 coins. I show up, I give a heart, and then I give like usually a donut because it's 30 coins, just to be like, hey, I'm here and I'm listening to your show. And if I don't like it, I just fucking leave. I'm not up here going, oh, this is silly. What are you talking about? We're
Well,
just having
I like
conversations.
I like the Stern philosophy, Howard Stern's philosophy. You can turn me off. You go do this. It's as simple as go to another station. If you
Yeah,
don't like it, there are other places. He says, I'm not holding you here.
yeah. It's as, it's this easy. Just turn the fucking dial on your, or press a button on your console and you're somewhere else. I remember Howard saying something that stayed with me, and I've experienced it. Um, uh, this guy called up complaining, but he started off by saying, "Hey, I've been listening to your show for years, but now I hear what you're saying about Chinese people. I'm not going to listen again." And Howard said, "Oh, so you heard me talk about every other group, and you had no problem with that. But the moment I got to your group, now you don't want to listen to me anymore. So you're a hypocrite." And I've experienced that. I've had a few people that, are not here anymore because I said something they didn't like. And these were people that were praising me effusively, right? But then I said something that they didn't like, and now they don't show up anymore. That's a real, like Chappelle said, it's a real brittle spirit, you know. I don't know how you get through the world like that, where you're just offended so easily. Oh my God. I can't deal with this. You said something I don't like. I've got to go.
Well, it was like South Park with Isaac Hayes. He
Right.
was cool with making fun of everybody except for the group he was a part
Right.
of. And like Trey looked at him and goes, you know that I'm a Mormon and I attacked the Mormons too. He goes, it's everybody's fair game. That's our rule. Everybody is fair game.
Zolter Turan, I didn't see your earlier question, and if you had been polite, I would have entertained your question, but since you're a donut, you've got to go. Don't call me homie, you fucking asshole. These people act as if I'm glued to the chat. Like sometimes I miss shit in the chat. And you could just say, hey, I asked you a question earlier, could you answer it? People have done that. And very often I'll go back and look and find it. Usually it's not anything important, but fine. But like, why do you gotta be condescending just because I didn't get to your shit right away? Like, who the fuck do you think you are? Let's see. So now that Zoltertarian is gone, let me see. Let's get a shout out for George Floyd and Jesse Jackson, homie, quickly. Oh, that's what he thought was his brilliant comment. Dickhead. Oh man. I'm sorry, what'd you say, Jessica?
I said that was riveting, truly
Yeah.
groundbreaking.
Yeah. Yeah. No, these, I see this on every live. Hey Beth, thank you for the heart me, appreciate it. I see this on every live. These desperately lonely MAGA hats who just want a reaction. They're so desperate for attention that they'll say something and, just I guess they're hoping that the host has never heard this shit before. Like this one guy just kept calling a BLK host the N-word, and the guy was like, "So how old are you?" and he was like, and then he was like, "N-word," and he was like, "Really? How old are you?" And he asked him like 5 times, and the guy just kept repeating it. And he's like, "Do you think that you're upsetting me? Do you like this is another Tuesday for me, man? Like, what do you think you're accomplishing right now? Do you want to have a conversation? But it's just this, and then they get caught in this bizarre little circle of their own making, and he couldn't stop saying it, even though the host was actually trying to have a conversation with him. The guy couldn't stop saying it. He's just going N-word, 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 and it was hilarious. But to me, that's just a desperate person. My God, my mouth is so fucking dry. Ugh. After not talking for 2 weeks, I'm a mess. Triple OG says they're cannibalizing the BLK MAGA for questioning the verdict in Texas. I don't know. Jessica, do you have any idea what this is referring to?
I do. It's this kid named Carmelo Anthony who went into a tent of the opponent and attacked one of the players after being asked to leave.
Yeah, so
But
it's
what does
the
cannibalizing black MAGA mean?
I guess because they are rallying behind. So okay, a little more of a breakdown. It was a track meet. The the perpetrator who did the pointy poke went into a tent of another team. He was told to leave. It wasn't his team's tent. He refused. Words were said. He reached down into his bag and threatened one of the boys who was telling him to leave and said, "If as long as you don't touch me, we're all good." Well, the guy reached out and tapped him or poked him. He was like, "Well, as long as you don't punch me, then we're good." The other kid put his hand on his shoulder and shoved him. So then Anthony pulled out the pointy and pokeyed. He was 17 years old. He was tried as an adult. The trial just happened. He was found guilty.
No black jurors. Yep.
Yeah. And so he was found guilty. And so,
I'm given 35 years.
Yeah. And so, there are protests saying, that he should not have been found guilty. It was clearly self-defense because the other kid shoved him. Whereas the prosecution was saying it can't qualify as self-defense. He literally was asked multiple times to leave in order to avoid the conflict. He chose to stay, therefore heightening the intensity of the situation. You can't use self-defense because it happened gradually. It was a whole thing. And so there are protests going on saying that he shouldn't have been convicted. And so now apparently in some people's mind, every person of color automatically is protesting and thinks that the conviction should be overturned. Obviously, that's not true. There are people on both sides who are for it, and people on both sides who are against it. So that comment's honestly just a weird comment. But the talking point currently is that every person of color is like, oh, free this guy. And because they're like, oh, free this guy, that all the MAGAs are like, we don't stand with you anymore, even if you're a BLK MAGA, just because you're BLK, obviously you're for this Anthony guy. It's stupid. It's honestly so dumb.
I mean, you know, YT Mag has never accepted BLK Magas anyway.
Yeah, no, absolutely, they didn't. And I think that even ones who were pretending that they did were just waiting for the opportunity to be like, oh, nope, that was it. Now we can't. You know what I'm saying? So, oh well.
Yeah. So, I mean, that I agree that was a weird way to say it, cannibalizing MAGA. That I don't. It's a weird turn of phrase, but so Jessica, I've been kind of out of the loop for the last couple of weeks. I've of course had the same daily torrent of horrible news going through my various feeds. I heard today through Kyle Kalinske, whose show I really like, that Dump has overturned 112 environmental protections. And so when people say he loves America,
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, he's making it easier for corporations to harm us.
Oh.
Like, that's what regulations are for. Regulations serve to preserve life. Like, would you want to live in a building that was not built to regulations? I wouldn't, right? You wouldn't want to drive a car that wasn't built to regulations, right? Like, regulations are necessary. As a matter of fact, they deregulated certain types of, I think certain types of meat, like deli meats or something, and like people passed away as a result. You know, like, how are you cheering for this? How are people cheering for the deregulation, like safety regulations? Yeah, that's so weird to me.
Aw, Piston. Come on up. I sent you an invite.
Uh-oh.
Come correct me.
Piston Honda says he knows something. She went on a big old rant lie. But
I
Piston,
literally just gave the
you're not
beard
saying what the
stuff.
truth is, and you're not accepting the invitation. Why is that? Are you a punk?
I literally just gave unbiased bare bones detail. And heavy on the bare bones. Come on up, Piston. Quit being a pansy.
I mean, Piston, you only have a few seconds left to come up and prove that you're not a punk. Because that's a thing that I got from other live shows. If you're talking shit in the chat and then we invite you up and you don't come up, then you got to go. And clearly, you are a punk. So goodbye. Oh well, what a shock! Another MAGA hat chirping in the chat didn't have the sack to come up.
This is only.
Tom Robson says, "Why talk to a communist infiltrator?"
What the fuck?
Tom, do you think it's like 1946 or something? What the fuck are you talking about?
Hey, Tom, define communism for me. Give me two key tenets of
I
communism.
don't think Tom could define what a banana is.
I'm a
Wow.
little sus with Tom with a TH.
Lady Jane says mediocre are governing America. Well, yeah, I mean, no one's governing America.
Tom, liberals and communists are not the same thing. See, here's the problem.
Oh no, you don't know anything, Tom. Oh
You're
no.
using terms that you don't understand, Tom. Give me two
Oh,
key tenets of communism.
Tom's a donut. He's just a propaganda parrot. And look at how he responds. I know more than you do.
Can prove
Duh,
it. Can prove
duh.
it.
Tom, you're such a sweet boy.
Hey, Tom, all of your tests got handed back face down, didn't they?
Hey, Tom, let me ask you a question. If your mother and father get a divorce, are they still brother and sister? I know more than you do. God damn. How does a grown man talk like that?
My
Holy
favorite is
shit.
when they say that shit and then they refuse to prove it. They refuse.
Oh, the live has been restricted again. That's twice in one night. Well, at least I'm consistent.
Tom, this is only my second live I've been on in like 2 weeks. I want to play with my food. Come on up, Tom.
Tom's probably eating his crayons right now.
Or lead paint flakes.
Do you need to go for a walk, boy?
Look at what Tom said. Read Whitaker Chamber book Witness. That's his answer to everything we've said.
Tom, you
Oh,
still haven't given me two key tenets of communism. Do you
come
need a
on,
walk?
Tom.
Because I could
Come
dog
on,
walk you
Tom.
real quick.
Raucus says censorship with Chico's bite dance. Or did you mean China's bite dance? Was bad. Trump sycophants are worse. Yeah. Who's Chico's? Anyone know what that's referring to? I know ByteDance is a Chinese company, but I don't know who Chico's is. Anybody?
I
Anybody
thought
know
it
what
was
that
a
is?
Latino term.
Well, yeah, I mean Chico means boy, but
I'm just saying. That's the only time I've ever heard the word.
won't let me write China? I don't know what's going on there, but
I don't know, but I'm starting to smell burnt toast.
I know I mean those two thoughts don't seem connected to me, but I agree with both of them. Anyway, all right. So anyway, as I was saying, Jessica, I had heard about the, you know, amongst all the other shit that I've been hearing over the last 2 weeks. But what has stood out for you recently about Dump's transgressions?
Oh my god. The fuck. The list could go on and on, and
I know it's hard to pick from the long
it really
list.
is. Honestly, um, I'm pretty miffed, obviously, about the environmental protections as well. Just because, like, I live in the natural state. I'm super into nature. I'm an avid outdoorsman. So pretty fucking miffed about that. Um, but I would say for me personally, it is just the blatant just waste of American taxpayer dollars within the last couple of weeks, while also telling the world publicly that he just doesn't give a shit, but that he's somehow better for the economy. And yeah, we're gonna suffer, but it'll be better in the long run. And we all know that it's not fucking true. But it's just the sheer, which we know that he doesn't respect the American taxpayer. We know that. That's common sense. Um, but to just be so callous and again, we know that this is who he is, but it pisses me off to be so callous as to know that people are unaliving because you've taken away their access to health care. That people are more food insecure now than they have been in decades. And to just know how much people are suffering and barely scraping by, if they are scraping by at all, and to just throw around our taxpayer dollars like it's nothing, only to host a fucking UFC fight just to fall asleep in the fucking crowd. It's that to me
Like
is just,
it's
it's a
such like
slap in the face.
I don't believe in like the sanctity of things like automatically, but like when you're talking about symbolism for a country, then obviously the White House carries a lot of weight in terms of symbolism.
Yeah.
And to have a UFC match, like why is the government putting on a UFC match? I mean, we know what part of it is that Dump invested in, one of the companies involved with the UFC, but like it's just so blatantly disgusting to do stuff like that. Like I have no regard for America at all, but even with my cold dead heart, I'm like, come on, man, why would you do that to the White House? Why would you embarrass America and make America look like a joke on the world stage by
Yeah.
doing something like that, man? It's just horrific. Um and the grifting just
Yeah.
doesn't stop.
No, because he's getting paid from it all.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it recently? He was told that he had to uh pay a certain fund and he was like, nope, not gonna do it. What was it? The
No, well,
166 billion or million? I forget what it was, but it was a big
million, I
number.
believe. Yeah. Um. Well, even just from the UFC fight, he just bought stock in the company who owns the fucking UFC.
Right.
And
Right.
so, just for that stunt alone, not only is he wasting taxpayer dollars, he's putting money back in his own fucking pocket because of it. And for what? For what? People, it's a goddamn travesty. It's a slap in the face to tax-paying Americans. And
Well, to piggyback on your thing, there was one fighter who said, "Why are we doing this?" He wouldn't do the event because he said there are
yeah,
more important things right now:
And he wound up getting
food,
arrested.
medical, and we shouldn't be part of this when we need more important things right now.
And he
he.
got arrested at the event, right?
What
Oh,
the kid who spoke up?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't watch the event. I
Yeah, I
was
didn't
busy
either. I
living
just I
my
just
life.
I just saw it today that the same guy that you're talking about, he went to the event and he got arrested. So like we now have literally thousands of examples of a complete abuse of power from this administration. You
Gavin
know,
Newsom and his wife are apparently being investigated by
of
the
course,
DOJ now.
of course. And all
Yeah.
of these people that were crying lawfare when Biden was in office, even though he did not initiate any of these things that were going
Right.
on. In fact, most of the lawsuits or the charges that Dump received when Biden was in office were from Republicans. Almost all of them, in fact, right? And even that in that interval time that Donnie was luckily not part of politics, even though he was influencing it, and he had all these legal troubles. These came from Republicans, and people were screaming lawfare, lawfare. And now,
Right.
when this guy is engaged in abusing the power of the government to go after anyone who displeases him, he's no better than King George walking down the street saying, "Off with his head." This
Right.
is the same shit.
Yeah, and but of course they don't see it that way. They just want to keep screaming political witch hunt.
Right.
It's a witch hunt. It's a witch hunt. What they did for Trump. Trump has surpassed that times 400. Honestly,
Yeah.
and that's not a made up number. That was the number of political retaliations. That I found when I looked into it back in February of last year. So
Yikes.
it's over that now,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, and when you look at the administration as a whole, especially once you factor in that the DOJ has lost over 10,000 immigration cases, you can literally say that this abuse of power runs into thousands of examples.
Yeah. Sorry, total side note, because it's distracting me. User says, answer the question. What about the pride parties under Joe Biden's with trans T people with their tops? First of all,
Who gives a
what the
fuck?
fuck are you talking about? Second of all, God forbid LGBT people exist. God forbid trans people exist. Like, quit being so scared of everything. I swear, this is a whole thing with MAGA. You guys run on fear politics nonstop. You guys have to create a new thing to be fearful of, to make a problem about. Oh, men and women's sports. All 10 trans people competing at a collegiate level. Ooh, so scary. Uh, it's just oh no, they're putting litter boxes in classrooms. That never fucking happened.
Never
Like
happened.
we're gonna send our kids to school and they're gonna come back a different gender. Like they're out there just hang on, kids. Let's hook up the anesthesia real quick. Let's send Billy back as Sheila. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? You
But you know
guys
that story about litter boxes, that's something that Joe Rogan actually repeated.
Oh, I'm not surprised with that fucking meathead.
Yeah.
It's constantly coming up with new things to just peddle that strike fear in people, like, oh, we have to be afraid of this happening, we can't possibly let this happen, it's so terrible, oh my gosh, clutch your pearls. Like, grow up and grow a pair. At this point, I have more balls than you do.
You know, I read something earlier. And I wound up posting about it because it was just another example of like a big company deciding to feed machines water instead of feeding humans water. And it occurred to me that we don't really deserve the earth, you know? And I know this is very fucking hippie kind of shit, but honestly, we were given this planet, um, and not as a possession, but as a place that could sustain us, you know, and none of it makes sense. You know, if you tell me God created all this, why didn't God just create us all as herbivores so that they wouldn't have to be suffering? Like, and not just human suffering, but animal suffering. Why do animals have to suffer every single day? You know, getting murked and being terrified and in horrifying pain just from predation from other animals, but then the organized predation from humans. Like, if God is loving and caring, why not just make everyone an herbivore so that we could just eat plants and there'd be no screaming and no blood, you know? But when you also factor in that there's a group of people, and it's a small group compared to the world population. It's this tiny, tiny group of people who have most of the wealth in the world. And they have made the conscious decision that data centers and other types of machinery deserve water more than humans do. I think as a species, we've just jumped the shark. We've lost our way. I don't know, maybe you have a different view of this. What do either of you think of that idea?
Well, first of all, like in places where they're really like, even in the red states, they're getting upset because these AI centers, not just water, but the power bills are going up because they're not even paying their share. The power they take in is causing everybody else's bills to skyrocket.
Yeah, but that's an inconvenience compared to not having drinkable water.
Yeah, like Flint, Michigan still doesn't have clean water. But yeah,
And that
we're gonna
and that
like
happened what in the 80s, 90s, something like that?
yeah, been going on since like the 90s. It resurfaced again in like the mid 2000s. Um, but yeah, for decades, Flint, Michigan still doesn't have clean water.
Yeah.
But yet we're gonna drain rivers dry basically, just to keep machines going. For what? For fucking what? So that we can pretend that we're competing with China when they've already cornered the fucking market and nothing that we could produce is going to come close, just to try to save face. It's ridiculous. They're trying to get like two or three of them put here in my state, and people are just having an absolute fit about it. Understandably so. Um, it's insane to me that this is where we're at. Not only are we rolling back environmental protections, right? Like here in my state, we've also rolled back like our clean water protections that prevent them from dumping like animal waste into our rivers. So not only are we rolling back those protections, but now we're also taking the water that there is, and that's one of the reasons why they want to put data centers here in my state, especially in my areas, because we have natural springs everywhere. You can't drive a mile in any direction without running into a water source. Um, but we're we're just shitting on these natural resources before we've even made sure that they're available to everyone. You're going to tell me that it's perfectly fine for human beings to not have access to clean drinking water, but we're going to make sure that we have water for these fucking data centers? Ridiculous. That one grinds my gears.
Yeah. And even before all this, like people fucking, washing their cars and watering their lawns, like I think it would make sense if everyone had a garden on their lawn. That would be great. Grow your own food, help the neighborhood out, whatever. But it's just that, and I don't even think the reasoning really is about like being better than China or anything like that. I think it's all just greed. I could be wrong about this. This is just an assumption that I'm making. It just seems to me that all of these horrible decisions are driven by greed. If these people weren't so blindly greedy, and I think I really think that greed is a sickness. I think it's sort of a cancer of the soul, so to speak. It's probably a clumsy metaphor, but it's kind of like that. It's a sickness that gets into you and consumes you and just cuts off your humanity. Because how could you think we need more data centers? We don't. We don't. Like, AI is cool, I get it, but what's it doing for us? What's it actually giving to humanity that we need? Like I love anime adult fare, but I can live without it. I don't I don't want water going to data centers just for spank material. Like, that makes no sense. Or other frivolous entertainment, or just, being able to write a song quicker. Like, none of this stuff makes sense what we're doing. You know, whatever next species comes up, I just hope that they don't have greed in them, because greed is going to ruin everything that you do. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Why don't we wrap this up? Jones, do you have any final thoughts for the evening?
Well, there's a saying I have: ignorance is not bliss, it's deadly.
All right. Well, as always, thanks for coming up and all your other contributions, the heart me, the coins, and all that other good shit. I appreciate you, brother.
Well, I appreciate you too. Have a good night.
All right. Jessica, any final thoughts for the evening?
It sure is good to have you back.
Oh, thank you.
Um, I don't know if tonight was your first time back or if you were on
It was.
yesterday.
No, I've been gone for 2 weeks.
Good, good. I think I hopped on one like 2 or 3 nights ago, but other than that, this is my first one in like 2 weeks as well. I had even messaged you that one. I was like, "Hey, sorry, I haven't been by." Yeah, I
Yeah.
still haven't been on live.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because, what I realize is that there's a good chance that my voice is transitioning. Like old guys sound different than young guys.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just lose the voice that you had and it turns into something else. And usually it's a shittier version. And that's probably what's happening to me. My voice is just changing into a shittier version of what it's always been, just in time for me to want to be, in social media. That's perfect timing. But so that's what I think is happening. So I just figured, because I did 6 days in a row, which I hadn't done in a long time. This was,
Right.
3 weeks ago. I did Monday through Saturday, all 6 shows. I was very happy about that. And at the end of it, I could barely talk. So I was like, all right, let me give it a rest. And then I went on, I took off Sunday and Monday, and then I went on Tuesday. And then by the end of Tuesday, it was like my voice was inflamed. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna shut up for a couple of weeks. But I think it's inevitable. I think my voice is just shot.
Yeah. Well, it's different from what you're used to, seeing as you've had it your whole life. But for the 2 cents that it's worth, I think you still sound great.
Thank you.
Of course, it is. It is good to see you back. I've got another. We've got our semifinals game tomorrow. So I don't know if or when I'll be on. But if you're on tomorrow, I hope that I can make it. But I don't know. I'm out of solutions at this point in terms of what to do. Used to I was like, okay, well, these are the things that need to change, and here are actions we could start doing in order to make a difference and make a change. And I'm just fucking tired. I don't know anymore.
It's so spot on that you said that. That's exactly how I feel. Like, and I didn't I've not been a, rah rah, all right everybody, let's get the positions going, because I've known for a long time that we have very little power in this country as citizens. We just, like, politicians ignore us. They
Yeah.
they they just use us as fodder for their agenda, but they ignore everything we really want and need. They don't give us. They haven't delivered us a good life. We're all struggling. We're all, just trying to stay alive at this point.
Yeah.
And I've been feeling that same feeling for at least the last week or two. It started creeping on me. I was like, what the fuck is it about me? Why am I exhausted all the time? And I don't work. I'll probably have to go to work eventually, but I haven't worked in a year and a half, and I'm exhausted all the fucking time.
Yeah.
And it's just the weight of the reality of what life has turned into in America, and the recognition that, like you said, there's really no solutions for this.
Yeah. I think, I've mentioned before, like, oh, we're rapidly approaching the point of no return. I think we're there. I can't say we're rapidly approaching the point of no return anymore, because I think we're cresting it now. And maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just my own personal feelings, because I'm just so fucking exhausted with it all now. Um, I don't know what to do anymore, and I know that I'm not going to be the person to solve it all. Um, but god damn, I used to be able to see a way forward, and I just don't anymore. And I think, like, I have to stop trying to see a way forward and just fucking coast with it. I try to still take in as much information as I can and stay up to date on what's going on. Um, and it gets to me, but I feel like it's important for me to know and to be informed and to continue. I don't know, just documenting it in any way I can. Like, I keep a small journal of like just the different goings on and like what all is happening and like what all laws are being passed and how it's affecting people. And I don't have solutions anymore, but if I can at least document it so that it's there, like I don't know, it's the only thing keeping me from unraveling at this point, and that's depressing. I'm sorry, but like,
No, no, I totally get that. And I've had that same thought. Like, part of what I was doing in the last 2 weeks is just sort of contemplating, like, what the point of all of this is. And part of it has to do with me, and part of it has to do with what you're talking about. The part of it that has to do with me is the recognition that my content is really the same as cave drawings. I think I'm motivated to do content for the same exact reason that cave dwellers 10,000 years ago made etchings on caves. It's sort of just as a way of saying I was here, right?
yeah,
And maybe, when I'm gone, if the persistent rumor is true and my life ends the way they say that every life does, then my grandchildren will be able to look up my content and hear me speak and still have a connection to me. Or maybe the next species that digs through the rubble and finds all this shit will be able to hear what we were going through. And the second part of it is exactly what you're talking about, this idea that I want to be part of the journalistic record. I want to be part of the people that were saying, hey, this is wrong. This is why it's wrong. This is how it could be. And you're choosing the wrong way. And maybe someone will benefit from that.
yeah. I think like I've clearly always been like a history person, right? And I remember when all this started happening, I had this thought of how I remember being a child in grade school and being given assignments to interview people who were older and ask them about like the significant time in history, right? Um, and what their thoughts were like. Are there any details that don't really get talked about enough? And I had this thought of what if one day that's me? What if I'm that older person one day? And what if a few years from now, even my son comes to me for a school assignment and says, "Hey, mom, like you lived through this. What was going on? Like what really happened?" And I can point to these records that I'm keeping because I'm not going to remember 20 years from now all this because there's so much shit going
Right.
on. I'm not going to remember all of the little idiosyncrasies that still affect people so much. There's so many little things happening every single day that I don't want any of them to be forgotten because every little thing that happens is affecting people. And I don't want anything to get laid to the wayside and forgotten about. So I'm trying to document as much as I can. And even if no one ever reads it, maybe one day I'll look back and read it myself. But I can't, used to I'd be writing it and I'd, try to remain optimistic and try to remain hopeful and try to say, well, but, we're still fighting the good fight and here's what we can do and here's the actions we're putting in place to fight it. And I don't have that part anymore, but at least I can still document it. And I feel like that's still just as important too. Or at least I have to tell myself that it is. And, I'm really hoping for that fucking headline one day. I'm just gonna wake up and it's gonna be there. And this will be like a goddamn fever dream. And
Yeah.
hopefully that pendulum will shift and there'll
Yeah,
be light at the end of the
that's what I'm
tunnel.
hoping for too. I'm not one that generally lives on hope, but I think
Yeah.
hope has some utility to it,
Yeah.
because there was a line from the show MASH, and I don't recall the exact line, but it was like, you know, sort of like hope is what keeps us all from joining hands and walking into a chopper blade, you know.
Nice. Yeah.
And you need that. Sometimes you need to say, hey, there's a version of this life that we might not get it exactly the way we want it, because I don't think in my lifetime I'm going to see everyone housed and everyone fed and everyone have the right to medicine and the right to an education and a right to a dignified life. I don't think I'm going to see that, but I think we could get some version of that, and that hope sustains me a lot of times.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to believe that it has to someday get better, and um, I don't know that I can put the thought process behind how to achieve that anymore because I'm so fucking beaten down and exhausted all the time by it all now. But I still have to hope that it will. And until then, fuck Trump and free Palestine. And thank
Absolutely.
you for having me up.
Oh, my pleasure. All right. Have a good night. Well, folks, thank you for hanging in there for an hour and 40 minutes. I appreciate you. You know, these conversations take on, twists and turns that I never see coming. But I'm glad we talk about the stuff that we talk about. And I'm so glad that the people that come here regularly come up and contribute with comments and likes and coins and all that good stuff. I make maybe 10 to $20 a week off of TikTok, so obviously it's not what sustains me. Um, but I appreciate it. I appreciate your time, your energy, all the good feedback, and hopefully we'll be able to keep this thing going. I don't know if I'll be back tomorrow night because who knows how my voice is going to feel when I wake up. But the goal is Monday through Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern. So hopefully I'll see you guys soon. Until I do, peace, love, and granola. Talk to you soon.